What is the Soma Psuchikon, or the soul body? Let us talk about it. In Greek, Soma refers to body, while Psucha refers to psyche or soul, and Ikon for image. So literally, Soma Psuchikon refers to soul image of body. In the translation of the Bible, the translators face a challenge because their interpretation could only be as good as their knowledge level. Some expressions are, however, above their knowledge level. In addition, their interpretation was to suit the worldview of the people living at that time. Already, philosophers are different in terms of their views regarding what the soul is. They never share the same views. Each one of them had his own interpretation of what the soul is. Now there comes a word that is attached to the soul as body. How can soul have body? They could not figure out what St. Paul meant by the word Soma Psuchikon. Yet they knew that it was not the dense body under reference, since it is subject to death in dust or ash. So the Soma Psuchikon cannot necessarily be just this dense body. It goes beyond that. Therefore, the translators conveniently use words such as spiritual body, celestial body, heavenly body, or a house not made with hands. But the truth of the matter is, there is a soul body. For us to appreciate this, we need to provide a background again in respect of our lectures. We ever said the spirit is threefold. The body is also threefold. And the soul is threefold. The soul is an extract, a force from the way the threefold spirit uses its threefold body. There is the conscious soul, the intellectual soul, and the emotional soul. The threefold soul ultimately adds to the increase in the maturity and power of the threefold spirit. That is to say, the threefold spirit in every human being harvests from the use to which it has put the threefold body. The conscious soul feeds the divine spirit. The intellectual soul feeds the life spirit. And the emotional soul feeds the human spirit. All of them, that is the threefold spirit, the threefold body, and the threefold soul, plus the mind, are linked. They are all linked. It's not that one is isolated from the other. They are all linked. Each is affected by the action in any one of them. Nonetheless, at every point in time, one of them is impacted more than the other, depending on the type of activity the individual has, the type of desire the individual has, and the type of thought the individual has. For example, repetition of habits, either good or bad, affects the vital body more than the others. In lecture number 6, we introduce the following diagram, and it is important we go over it. This diagram talks about all the bodies, all the spiritual aspects, and the mind put together. We can see from the left where we have the divine spirit, the light spirit, and the human spirit, reflecting in the dense body, the threefold body, where we have the dense body, the vital body, and the desire body. Out of the use of the spirit of those threefold bodies, we generate the threefold soul, the emotional soul, the intellectual soul, and the conscious soul. You can see that the spirit is not deriving anything directly from the threefold body. it is rather deriving from the soul. So the conscious soul, which is to the extreme right, in the blue color, feeds the divine spirit, which is to the extreme left. And the intellectual soul is like the food for the life spirit. The intellectual soul is in the golden or yellow color. And then the emotional soul feeds the human spirit. Remember that the mind is the link between the spiritual aspects and the bodily aspects. So, through the mind, the spirit feeds on its soul, what it has generated as a result of the use of the physical body. This is how the tenfold body of a human being is derived. Without the soul, the spirit cannot grow. It can never increase. It cannot mature to become perfect. The soul is the basis. Spiritual growth, therefore, depends on how the individual uses the various material bodies. How you use your material bodies determines the maturation of your spirit. If you conduct yourself in line with nature's laws, God's laws, you build the soul body. If you use the body wrongly, against the laws of nature, against the laws of God, you develop the opposite of the soul body, and that opposite is sin body. Everything starts with the dense body. The spirit, all of us, the spirit in us is in this world in order to mature and become perfect. And everything starts with this dense body, the way we use this dense body. That is key. The dense body, therefore, is the main body for the activities of the spirit in the physical world. Without this dense body, the spirit cannot be in this physical world. The dense body contains and connects all the faculties or aspects of the spirit and the spirit itself to function in this world. As we ever said, the dense body is vitalized by 4 interrelated ethers made up of atoms of different density, pitch, vibration, color, and so on. The vital or the etheric or the electric body, we will not talk about it. Material things or actions such as good food, quality drinks, lands and buildings, enjoyment of sex, life of luxury, or what have you, they only engage the 2 lower ethers that are responsible for digestion, assimilation, reproduction, and maintenance of the body. That is what the lower ethers do. So when we are engaged in things that please the flesh, we are only working with the 2 lower ethers. I'm not saying, or we are not saying that they are not good. We should stop immediately. But let us be reminded that the pleasures of the flesh satisfy the 2 lower ethers. They do not add anything to the higher ethers. And the higher ethers are key to our spiritual development. And the higher ethers are the light ether and the reflecting ether. And we see that in this diagram we are reproducing. We are more interested in the ethers of the physical world. And we color the ethers in golden or yellow. Of course, the dense body also has some yellow. But our emphasis is more on the vital body. The 4 ethers, chemical ether, life ether, light ether, and reflecting ether, the 4 constitute the vital body. But the 2 lower ethers, the chemical ether and the life ether, they sustain this physical body, this dense body. Whereas the light ether and the reflecting ether, they support our spiritual activities, in addition to the role that they play in moving the dense body. We are more interested in the etheric region. We are more interested in the vital body. The dense body, we have talked about that in our lecture number 2. Habits, lofty ideas, actions, they affect the development of the higher ethers. Repetition of good habits is the key to strengthening the vital body. And we say the vital body comprises the 4 ethers. Yet the two higher ethers are the ones that promote our spiritual activities. So, repetition of good habits, those good actions go to strengthening the vital body, especially the two higher ethers. Unconditional love and altruism, to be caring and sharing, helpfulness, compassion, truthfulness, all these, though they are desires, the more we do them, the more they become habitual. We develop habit from doing those good things, and they automatically support our spiritual development. These habitual thoughts, words, desires, and actions, they are the only ones that can build the soul body. Why do we say so? We would like to explain. Before anybody is born, or before physical embodiment of the spirit, the pattern of the vital body is placed in the womb of the mother. This pattern is in proportion to the work done by the spirit in 1, previous life, and 2, in the spiritual world prior to its physical embodiment. The dense body is an exact copy of the vital body. So what we have as dense body is simply a copy of how the vital body looks like. And it is just to say that when you see a physical building, it is just a materialization of the drawings or the thought of the architect. It is the same thing we are talking about. You can't see the vital body with physical eyes, but before we are born, a pattern of it is placed in the womb, and this dense body crystallizes along that pattern. The two higher ethers, the light and reflecting ether, they are primarily responsible for sense perception and memory. So for this dense body to move about and do what we do, the two higher ethers, their primary role is sense perception and memory. But there is a spiritual aspect to that, which we'll be talking about. They are also the vehicle for our spiritual development. So the two higher ethers are not only for sense perception and memory, but also for our spiritual development. Their spiritual force, the force of those two higher ethers, are latent, dormant in most people. That power, that force contained in them is not available immediately we are born or seen by those who have etheric vision around the individual, but it is dependent on the good work that we do in lifetime. Except for the highly developed person who normally is born carrying that from previous life, generally everybody has the spiritual force dormant in the blood, and the blood is the vehicle for the spirit. That is to say, without the blood, the spirit cannot function in the flesh, be it a human being, an animal, or even fish. Without the blood, the spirit cannot function in the flesh. But that is not to say that fish, animal, their spirit is in them as we have it in a human being. Their spirit is a bit external to them, unlike a human being. But still, the spirit functions through the blood. As the individual lives a holy life of love, of selfless service, the two higher ethers we talk about begin to take definite shape. So it is not just about sense perception and memory. As we begin to live the pure life, to offer selfless service, that force in the blood begins to take definite shape. Every good deed resulting from selflessness as a spiritual essence to the two higher ethers. Only love, noble deeds, and lofty desires to serve others add to the two higher ethers. Nothing else. No wonder Christ Jesus told us in Matthew chapter 23, verse 11 and 12 that, "But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted." With hard work, persistence, patience, and devotion, the two higher ethers finally transforms into a subtle body. The two higher ethers we talk about, as we continue to do good, there comes a time that they form a subtle body around the individual, and its light extends beyond the dense body. The individual then externalizes the fruits of the Spirit, as mentioned in Galatians chapter 5, verse 22 and 23. We read, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law." The individual who is maturing spiritually begins to show these qualities, and these are the qualities that bring about the soul body, the birth of it. With patience, persistence, and time, in well-doing, the individual increases in spirituality. Some notable changes take place in the process. What are they? Clear dreams. The individual begins to have clear dreams. Intuition or prompting of the Spirit. Extended vision. You can see beyond solids. Clear audience, clairvoyance, and telepathy. Those things begin to show in the individual, yet the individual keeps it secret. The soul. Eventually, the soul assumes the shape of a body and extends beyond the dense body. It is visible to only those who have extended vision. If you have just the physical eye, it is not possible to see that light around the person, the soul body. Let's go back and let us look at this picture. Here you can see the golden light around the individual. We ever showed it before. Surrounding this holy person is the soul body. The person has given birth to it. Its color is golden, which is the color of Christ. Just as red is the color for God Jehovah, and blue is the color for the Father. The size of the soul body increases as the individual continues living aright, doing good, and performing some key spiritual exercises, including prayer, retrospection, concentration, and meditation. At the highest level, the individual performs adoration. Generally, the vital body is tied to the dense body in certain key places, such as the palms, the hands, the side, and the head. As we said earlier on, everything begins with this dense body. All the spiritual aspects are connected to the dense body. So the way we use the dense body is key to our spiritual development. This tight connection should be loosened for the vital body to be detached from the dense body, so that the individual can be born consciously into the spiritual world, to be born of the Spirit. That is how we are born of the Spirit. The body, to be born into that realm, is the spiritual body or the soul body. No more this physical body. No. Ordinarily, the vital body or the spiritual body does not leave the dense body. It doesn't leave the dense body. Otherwise, it will lead to death. So, the individual who has reached the point of development whereby the soul body should be birthed, should be born, is taught by holy people. You can't just get up and do it by yourself. No, you need support. So, the holy people who have already gone through that process, they will teach you how to do that consciously, how to untie consciously those connections are the points that must be detached between this dense body and the vital body. We are talking about the two higher ethers, how that can be detached. Because it's only when the two higher ethers are detached that you can be born spiritually. You can be born again. That is the true initiation, which is earned, cannot be exchanged for any material things. That is how initiation comes about. You need to work at it yourself. Nobody is going to do that for you. But when you reach that point where you needed that support to loosen the connection between the vital body and the dense body, the holy ones will come and teach you how to do it. But until you gather that force within yourself, nobody can do anything about it. Anybody who pretends to help you is a liar. It is not. Initiation is not. We are talking about true initiation. It's not a physical ceremony and cannot be bought. No money can be used to buy it. But once attained, the individual is born again into the spiritual world. He or she can step out of the dense body and re-enter at choice and will, because you will be taught how to do all those things. He or she sees his or her own body lying down and can truly see that, indeed, the spirit is wearing this dense body as a garment to function in this physical world. Where does the individual go with the soul body? So when you are born again spiritually, where do you go? The one who has developed the soul body has become a citizen of two worlds, the visible and the invisible world.